Hi, and welcome to Matcha with Murad, where I, Murad, talk to other creatives about their process, what drives them to make their art, and anything else we find interesting along the way. So join me here every week for a new and inspiring story, and sometimes a quick heart-to-heart from yours truly. You are listening to Matcha with Murad. In this episode, we are talking to Kylie McConnell, who is an artist from Kansas City, Missouri. She graduated from the Kansas City Art Institute with a fine arts degree in 2018. In 2020, she launched a line of art objects and homeware pieces under the name Garbage Studios. She creates work in her studio located in the West Bottoms in a building filled with other artists and makers. Kylie also works as a curatorial assistant in the Hallmark Arts collection. Please help me welcome to the show, Kylie McConnell.
Okay, well, welcome to the show. This is Matcha with Murad, and I just love to talk about artists and their own processes, their own rituals. That's kind of like what got me into this is I have so many rituals and processes that I do with my own art, and I really want to know what other type of creatives do for theirs. Like what me and you do is so different. So let's start at the beginning. Tell me, I know we went to high school together for anyone that doesn't know, and Kylie always did art. But when did you start, and what was like that turning process where you were like, this is what I actually want to do for a living?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I always did art, but I feel like when you're in school, everyone's always doing art because you have to be in an art class, right? Like it's sort of
you're required to do one, I think.
You're required to do one. And so it's like I think it was I might have started like junior year or senior year, but for sure senior year, like my whole schedule was like art classes. Like it was like back to back as much as I could possibly fit it in. And that was just I don't know, like that was the thing I had the most fun with. And I really, when I'm telling you, I had no interest in anything else. I mean it. Like if you remember, we did like, Aaron and I did like the Staley News broadcasting, right? So it was like, so that was maybe the only other thing that I was interested in. And it's like, not really. I just wanted to be on camera. So, so that was like the real, I wasn't. Stuff. Yes, I wasn't interested in like the hard-hitting stories or anything. I didn't want to do that. I loved the idea of going to art school. Kansas City Art Institute, like where I went, is pretty much the only place I applied to. Like that was my dream school. I didn't want to leave necessarily because I have a lot of family in Kansas City, and I had visited it like on one of those college tours, and it was just amazing. I wanted to be in a place where I was surrounded by other artists. Like I really liked the culture there. I think that was, So like sophomore or junior or senior year in high school, I was like, I'm going to art school, period. I'm not even thinking about applying anywhere else. Yeah.
I can relate to that a lot because when I went to art school in Chicago, and it was just totally like if you are an artist, I feel like it is such a level up to be at an art school because and anyone that you need for anything, like if you need a graphic designer, a photographer, this or that, they're there. And also everybody is, like nose deep in their own work all the time. So it's not like a state school where especially for like you and me who like, we weren't necessarily interested in the school stuff. We were more interested in getting into like the hands-on experience type
getting into the studio and really, tuning into your work. Yeah.
And what was your exact major?
I majored in painting from the painting department, basically. And it's like, I just say that because it's a really broad term, like painting. It's not like I'm like, I don't really do like landscape painting or portraits necessarily. I feel like that department, at least at the school I went to, was one of the ones where you could be the most kind of open. It felt like there was no real, you could just explore a lot. And that's what like attracted me to it. Painting was like the department that I majored in, but I do a lot of like collage work and sort of like just multimedia stuff. Yeah.
Because I know on your website, it says you're collage and construction. So where was that, like when you started, were you like, I'm going to be an actual painter and then something along?
Yeah, I think so. I think when I was like a freshman there, I was interested in like what I was interested in high school, which was like, I want to like paint something the way that it looks. Like I am going to be super like a realist painter, like
Mm-hmm.
copy straight from that, and it's like, I sort of did that freshman year a little bit and quickly like realized that like it didn't really do anything for me. I actually wasn't even that good at it anyways. Like once you're learning art history, things like that, like I was really interested in abstraction, and I had a lot of great professors who sort of molded me to it's like, well, what does that really, I mean, it's great when people are like super realist painters, it's amazing, but it's like if you're not interested in it, it's like it's not really doing it for you. So
It sounds like maybe the creativity is taken away a little bit when you're a realist painter, maybe if it's not something that really speaks to you, because you like that perfectionism comes in a little bit where you're trying to make it exactly like what it looks like or whatever, and you
yeah,
can't be as creative.
right. And I'm like not even like dogging on that, because I think it's amazing, and I think that it's kind of hard to even be like, this is realism and this is abstraction, because
Mhm.
everything's a little bit in between anyways. So, but I think for me, I just started really being interested in abstraction, basically, which is kind of a really loose term. So yeah.
Right. And was there like a message behind that made you more interested? Like, is there like a reason why you do abstract art? Like, do you feel like you
I
have
think
like a why for it?
I don't really know. I'm horrible at artist statements, but one thing that I
I
do
am
know,
too.
and yeah, it's the worst. And like every time I try to sit down and write one, I just hate it. I wish someone would write it for me. Like I want someone who like knows my work to write it, because I think that would be more helpful. But something that I always put in there is like, I think the biggest thing, like I feel like what my studio sort of works around is like playing. Like I literally think of like my playroom that I had when I was a child, like, and how much freedom and like intuitive movements happen there. So it's like
Mm.
I always treat my studio like a playroom, and so it's sort of like I don't really know what's going to happen, basically. So that's why I feel like I'm drawn to like I keep using like abstraction, but it's because it's like I'm not sitting down and being like, okay, I'm going to my studio and I'm going to do a self portrait, because it's sort of like I'm going to pick up something in my studio, like trash, like a piece of
Yeah.
paper or something, old piece of paper, and I'm just going to start gluing shit. I'm just going to paint some stuff and put a little glitter on it. Like
That sounds so freeing. Like that just sounds like such a fun experience.
When I say it, it sounds like a child, basically. It's like in a playroom, like, which is what I think, that's what's fun to me. Like that's where I lose myself in my studio. And
Yeah.
that's when I can leave and be like, oh, I really got something done. Like I don't know what I did, but I felt it. Like I felt that like momentum in there.
Right. Like I mean, every artist can understand getting into like that flow state and
Yeah.
really losing yourself. And I love that idea of like just your inner child comes out when you're in the studio.
Yes.
I love that so much. Like that's what I feel like we all strive for when we're creating something.
Yeah. And it's not like, it's not
what you're going to create.
Exactly. And it's not easy to like get to that inner child place either. Like you go into studio with or go into anywhere, just daily life with so much stress and thinking about all of this stuff. And it's like, if you can have a little bit of time by yourself, I think working, it's like, it's so freeing. Like I was listening to one of your podcasts and you were talking about your like it's like mood boards, right? Kind of.
Yes.
Or word did you use?
That's like how I collage. It's vision board. But
vision
I've done
boarding,
that forever. So yeah.
And I've never done that. And I'm like, I need to do a vision boarding. But how you were explaining it, that sounds similar to like the feeling that I'm talking about. Like,
yes. Yeah, I do. And that's actually how I can relate to you on like an actual artist level. It's like, I don't know why I do it, but like my whole life, even before I was making vision boards, I'll make these like big collages that have like interesting colors and textures and images. And it's really weird because like I'll just be making music for so long and then something comes over me and I'm like, I have to like sit down and make something like with my hands.
Like I gotta put my hands on something, and totally.
Yeah. So that just sounds like such a fun time to just really get lost in something. And also like I think a lot of people struggle with having alone time, and it sounds like you might be really comfortable with it.
The thing is, I'm not like, that's the only time I'm comfortable. Like if I'm at home, I'm like, where's my boyfriend? Like, why is he not here? Like even if we're like separate in the house, like, it's like, I just like to know someone's here. Like I'm actually a very like, I really like to have people around. But you're right. In my studio, that is like, put my headphones in, listen to good music, and which is also key. Like you have to have, for me, I have to have music playing while I'm working.
Okay,
it doesn't feel right if I'm not, honestly. Yeah.
That's a part of your process then.
Yes.
Like that's a big
absolutely.
part for you. And it sounds like you've trained your brain, which is really cool, because I struggle with this with my music, to sit down and be alone and then to actually stop thinking. And it sounds like maybe the music is what does that for you.
The music definitely helps. Like I have like got driven to studio and then like went in my bag and my AirPods aren't there. And I'm like, nope, we're like, we got to turn around because nothing will get done. Yeah.
I totally get that.
And it kind of sets the mood, right? Like, it's like, am I going to listen to something like upbeat, or are we dancing in studio, or like, am I doing something more like, like meticulous, where I need to have a little bit of a slower thing happening? Yeah.
So I guess like walk me through that a little bit. So is there like, walk me through your process of going to the studio. Do you get like a coffee every time, and you get your headphones, and do you like put
unfortunately I do get a coffee every time. That's like my reward. I'm like, okay, well, so I'm really close to filling station. So like, that's like on my way to studio. And I get coffee and a little treat, like a little sweet thing to eat in studio. And my studio's in the West Bottom, so it's not far from my house, probably like 10-minute drive. So get there, walk up 1,000 stairs. It's at the top of this, like one of those old, like historic West Bottom buildings, which is also, I always joke about how like, that's my exercise workout for the day. Like, it's like, you got to work to get to studio. You got to, or else it's like a
beverage, your dessert, your exercise.
Yes. I walk up there, assess the mess. Like, what's it looking like? Usually pretty messy. I'm a very messy worker. I'm super, super messy until it gets to the point where it's like, okay, this is like hindering my ability to do anything. So then I have like a cleaning day. So I have like I gotta, get everything off the table. But so yeah, I just go in there, look around. I also forgot to mention that I'm a like kind of a night studio person. So it's like, if it's in the morning, I'm going to get a coffee and be there for like a little bit before I have to go to work. But I really like being in studio at night. So in that case, we got some seltzers in the mini fridge. I love like to have a bev while I'm like alcoholic seltzers, not like not liqueurs. Yeah. Yeah. I think that also like loosens me up a bit. Like, I just think it's fun. It's like just a few, like, few White Claws in the fridge, and then you're just kind of in there. I share the studio with another person, and then my partner Zane. So sometimes they'll be in there while I'm working. But I prefer it when it's just me, because then I can like, I don't know, like dance around and also do work. So
yeah, like really just do your thing. It sounds like I have to have wine if I'm in the studio with other people. Like, we get the wine out.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. See, and that's totally like, because your whole surrounding is probably different. It's like, it's like wine seems like something that would go way better with like your studio night. And I can't see me like cracking a bottle in my like messy dirt. Like, I want my wine night at my house, but so I just go with the White Claws, or just like a PBR.
It's not a bad idea, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not a bad move. And
but
when I'm alone, I don't drink wine. But when I have other people around, I'm like, let's get these juices flowing. It's usually nighttime.
For sure. Yes. Yeah.
I love the dirty thing. Like, I love that it needs to be dirty.
Like, my Instagram name is Garbage Human. Like, and then I named like my small business Garbage Studios, and everyone was like, I remember when my mom found out that my name was Garbage Human, she was like, why is it Garbage Human? Like, I hate that. You need to change it. And then it was I did it in like high school. Like, it was my first, I think my first Instagram was like Kai Marie 123 or something. Yeah. But I think in high school I changed it to Garbage Human, and it's been so long that I can't change it. Like, I've had conversations with people where I'm like, I really need to change my Instagram name. And they're like, no, that's like how people know you. You can't change it now. And I'm like, I guess you're right. So I just branded like the small business Garbage Studios as well. Cause then I'm like, that actually does go with, it's not random. It really is Garbage Studios, which is kind of a play because I'm not treating them like garbage. Like these, like the objects that I make are really precious and important to me, and I treat them with care. But I think it's funny that they come out of like Garbage Studios. So
I just like think it's funny. Like I like the name. Like the name has so much character to it, and it's also it has like become a part of your artist identity. I feel like once you have it for so long.
Yeah. No, like one time I think it was like, what year was it? Like a junior year in college, I walked into a like an elective class. So it was a department that I'm not in. And the professor was like, garbage human? And I was like, Kylie McConnell. Like, I was like, oh no. And because I mean, we probably just followed each other on Instagram or something. And it was just funny that I was like, yeah, I guess I can't change it if people really actually recognize me from that. So
that's so cool. I actually love that. That's funny. So I know you're also, what did you say? Curatorial assistant.
Oh yes, that's where I work at Hallmark, which is like based out of Kansas City. So we have it's really right down the street from me. Hallmark has a huge art collection, and it's been going for a really long time. And there's just so much great work there. Basically, I work in the office. Like I got my little cubicle, but we have like a small team that my coworkers are amazing, and we, curate the art in the building, and lots of offices. Like if you have a office there, like a closed door office, you get to select art from the art collection. So we'll give people like a form. It's like, what are you interested in? Realism, abstraction, and then we curate a selection for them to pick, and they choose which art. And so we do the hanging of all the artwork too. So it's kind of like an art handler job as well. So I'm just surrounded by art all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So so the people that work there, you kind of give them questionnaires to see what they want like around them?
Yeah. In their office. Yeah. And then in the hallways, there's like the big artworks. Like we have some really big names in the collection too. And it's just, it's really great. I got that job like right after I graduated college. So I've been there since like 2018, and
that's so cool.
I love it there. Yeah. It's great.
So like, I'm new to being back in KC. So tell me more.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I was going to see how you're feeling about it. I mean, you've been here since the pandemic, basically, right?
I've been here a while now. I'm like coming to terms with how long I've been here. And it's been like a very interesting time back here because I've been so much more appreciative of this place. Like for some reason, like it just feels really good to be back here. And especially like at the time that I came back with the pandemic and everything, I felt really good being here. And I've just noticed that the art scene here has been really good. So like, how do you feel about it being here for so long? Like,
I've seen it. I feel like I've seen it change a lot, even just in the short time that I've been. I mean, obviously I've been in Kansas City forever, but the difference from the suburbs to actual Kansas City, huge difference. And that's when I started, learning about all these spaces. I would say I really do love the art community here, and I love a lot of people who do great things for the art community here. But the one thing is, in terms of like, I don't know, like the one thing I've noticed over the past like 2 years, there's been a lot of like small studios, like DIY run spaces that have kind of got pushed out from like the buildings going on here in Kansas City. So that's the one thing I'm a little bit bummed out. But even in the past couple of months, I've seen more people I know, like starting, it's a lot of work to run like a small, like artist run space where people can go see shows and listen to music. And I have seen a lot more happening lately, which is great. But that's the best thing about the Kansas City art scene, I think, is the small artist run spaces. So I just hope to see that thriving even more, because it's like, obviously it takes a lot to put those on, but yeah, I totally agree. The art scene here is great. And that's why I haven't left, honestly. Like I have so many connections here since going to school here. It always, because I've always thought that I was going to be in New York by now, right? Like I thought I was going to be somewhere else. But then after going to school and graduating, I'm like, I felt really weird I'm like, why would I leave all of these connections that I made? Like, and all of these great people. So I really like Kansas City a lot. Like and whenever I talk to other people who aren't from here, I can like feel the like judgmentalness low key about like, are you from Kansas? Like,
and then they always think we're from Kansas. And I'm like,
yeah.
No. And they're like, you're from the South? And I'm like, not.
So there's like cows and stuff. Like, I'm like, well, yeah, there's cows, but like, that's not what it's all about.
People really underestimate Kansas City until they come.
They do. And it really is like, I feel like I always say this, but it super is like up and coming. Like, it's like, we have a lot of great things here. And also, yeah, like you moving back during the pandemic, like it was probably a little bit weird. I'm sure it felt really safe because you were like, got to be with your family and stuff. Like I had friends from New York that came home like during when it was really bad in New York, and they were just like, God, it feels so good to be here, like to be outside in this huge park and just like feel safe and comfortable, So but like I feel like more and more as things are opening up, you're probably getting to like experience Kansas City in a different way. And especially since like when you were here like in high school, when you go to like Kansas City, you go to like one shop and you're like, wow, this is like 39th Street, this is the city. And it's like there's so much more.
So much more. And I feel like you kind of have to be like 21 to really start experiencing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I've like learned about so many new places because I moved around in teens. So when I turned 21, I was in Chicago, and I would come back here like once a year, and my friends would take me to some like college type bar.
Right. Like in Westport or something.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like, that's just not a good indication of like everything else going on. And one thing I loved doing when I did live here was First Fridays. And it's been really cool to see. I went to the last one.
Did you? Yeah.
And there was a lot of people there, and it was really cool. And they had like the mask mandates in the galleries, which made me feel really good. But like, it was awesome. And you've done those before, right? Like you've had your art in those shows.
I've had work at First Fridays before. I have not been in forever because I work part-time in the service industry. So it's like, I'm working every Friday night. I haven't been to like an art event in so long, especially because COVID. It's like, a lot of things like haven't been able to happen, but I love to hear that First Fridays was fun and like popping again. Like that's great. That was definitely my favorite thing to do in high school. Like we would be so excited to come down for First Fridays and experience it. That's probably something else that made me want to like pursue art, honestly, is just going to First Fridays and being like, wow,
there's artists actually doing this.
There's artists here and they're like filling up a gallery and selling out their work. It's great. Yeah.
And I can relate to the service industry thing. It's a little rough doing both. It really is, but it's so worth it. And I think it just says so much about you as an artist if you're like basically you have like 3 jobs, and it's like doing all of that stuff just to be able to do your work when you have
I know it's such a balance because you have to have, I mean, if I wasn't working, I wouldn't have money for supplies to make art. It's like it costs to make art as well. And I think one thing I was kind of thankful for during COVID was the time that I had when I was not working. Like even though it felt really weird and it was rough at times, like it was so nice to focus on my art. And honestly, that's how I had enough time. And that's how I started like the small business because of it. Like I had enough time to sit down and like, what do I want to do? I have so much time. Let's make something happen with it. Not that that's how I was the whole time, because there were times where all I did was like sit on the couch and watch Netflix like forever.
Right. So. It was interesting for me because I was unemployed for 9 months because of my job. And
I was too. Yeah.
Like it was a long.
It was like almost a full year. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was interesting for me because it kind of showed me some parts of myself that I wasn't proud of, where like when I had that much free time, my ability to procrastinate was so much higher because
Yeah.
I just felt like I had so much time to waste, I think. I don't know. And then once I got a job again, I was like, oh, I have to do my music when I have like this amount of this window, you know? But it was
I know.
so nice to get to focus on only that.
Yeah. It was like, I think it was a collective feeling of, it's like, something I noticed was the conversation around a lot of artists being like, I feel so guilty. Like, all I've done is like watch Netflix and sit on the couch and like haven't made any art, even though I have all this time. And I kept seeing posts that were like really helpful to me. That was like, we are in a global pandemic. If you're not making art, it's okay. It's literally fine. Like, so I went back and forth with that, but there was a long time where I wasn't doing anything. I think the first half, and then the first like couple of weeks were like, oh, we're just staying inside for a little bit. It'll be gone in a few. And then you're like, oh, we're in this for the long run. And it was a lot of different emotions. But I think it's like refreshing to know, like, yeah, just because you haven't made anything in a while, that does not mean you're not an artist. It doesn't take away your credit, you're like at all, because I just think sometimes you need that, because burnout, it's like it's so easy to do. Like, especially, I don't know about how you felt like after graduating, like I was burnt out. Like I didn't want to make art for a little bit. Like I was like, whew, man, that was rough. Like that was that was a long time.
And you probably had so much stuff like due at the end of the year and stuff. And
yeah, it was like, yeah, it's like a really big high, and then it's like, whew, okay, you're graduated, and then you're like, now what? Yeah. But I think it's important to remember. Yeah. You have to remember that as an artist.
Yeah, you have to be careful of burnout. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's so hard with Zoom because it'll like cut our microphones out.
I know, yeah.
But burnout is interesting, and like surprisingly, I haven't written a song in months because I've been in the process of I have 5 songs coming out tomorrow. And it's
oh my God, that's so exciting.
Surprise launch. Yeah, it's gonna, I haven't done anything about it.
That. Yeah, I was like, I haven't heard anything. Yeah.
It's all old music, which I'm really curious to see how that goes. Like some of these songs are 2 years old, but I'm really happy that they're gonna get to see the light of day and then actually get input so that like the perfectionism isn't there. But yeah, I've been burnt out. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't made, because I have a whole other EP that's ready after these ones. So I was like, worked on that whole EP, and then I was just like done for a while. And my producer was like, you know what? It's probably really good for you because you're probably going to come back with like a vengeance when you're like ready to write.
Yeah.
And so burnout is real, and you got to listen to it. And I love what you said. Like just because you didn't, there's not like a certain quota of art you have to make a year to like be an artist.
No, because it's who you are. Like, it's like, if someone's like, oh, like, do you know so-and-so? They're like, yeah. Oh yeah. She's an artist. She's a singer. Yes. She's like, we know her. Like, it's like, people know you just are an artist. Like, like that's part of something that you will always be.
Yeah.
And then that's so exciting about the songs. And I think you'll get like getting feedback and sort of seeing how that feels, like releasing some new stuff, because it's new to us. It won't be old. It'll be new to us. Like
it's going to be interesting because it's so funny because I probably have like 80 songs right now. Right. But I'm that like insane artist
that's
that
crazy
won't put
to
things
me.
out. Yeah. And so for me, it's more of like
all of my favorite artists do that, and it's annoying.
I know, it's so annoying. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start with these old songs. Everything that I've put, and that's what I want to talk to you about next, is being like an independent artist of any kind. But I've put so much money into my music. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then my perfectionism is like keeping me from even letting people hear some of them. So I'm just really curious. This project's a lot more hip hop than I think people are anticipating.
Oh, fun.
So that's going to be interesting.
The older ones, like the ones tomorrow.
The older ones, like they're kind of shake your ass a little bit, some of them and stuff. I'm just like, I'm really
some studio music.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see what people think of them. And it's funny because like my style's already changed so much. So like the thing I put out around November will be totally different from this one. But
what is that one like? Like, how would you describe?
It's a little poppier, a little more pop. And it still has, and I guess just like a little bit less hip hop and more just like R&B pop. influence. So it's like, it's just,
I do picture you as a pop star. I think you could be on some Dua Lipa shit. Like,
I love pop. I'll always love pop. I love like hype, like Charlie X.
Charlie XCX. Yes.
Obnoxious, but I love it.
Yeah.
So
me too. It's the best. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to have like different versions of me that come out. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm just excited to see how people take the hip hop one. And then, so we'll see what happens, but
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. It'll be out tomorrow. It's called Sleepwalking on a Beach.
It's called what?
Sleepwalking on a Beach.
Oh, nice. Love that. Some summer vibes.
Yeah. So I had to get it out on like the last moment of summer.
Yes, seriously.
But so being an independent artist, we know is expensive. It's a lot of responsibility on yourself. And I'm really curious to know, what is like the business of fine art? So like, are you completely independent right now, funding everything yourself? This whole business is you, or are there agents? Are there managers? Like,
I'm sure when you get to a point where you're actually selling work constantly, I think you have to maybe I think a lot of people are just solo, like by themselves. But obviously when you're represented by a gallery, then you have kind of a partnership with them. Then you work with a gallery and they sort of sell your work. So then they get a cut of it. That's how it works in the big leagues, like blue chip galleries, which I don't know anything about because I'm not there yet. But in terms of what I'm doing, which is a lot more, it's totally small business, like doing it by myself. And it's like, I definitely fund that with my jobs, like with the other jobs that I work that are not related. But wait, what were you saying? Sorry, I forgot.
That's pretty much all of it. Like, so galleries are mostly representing artists, and you do like a partnership where they're like, hey, we're interested in having your art and we will try our best to get it sold for you, and you get a cut.
Yes.
Okay. And then, and so like, when it comes to like websites and all this stuff, are you doing all that yourself, or are you outsourcing?
I'm not. I haven't yet. I want to get to the point to where I can, like, I want to have my goal for like my small business, basically, which I'm trying to put more as like, because right now, like, there's like kind of like home-ware objects and stuff like that, but I want it to be to the point where like I can like also sell like some other art with that business. So I would love to get to the point where I have like, I'm able to like hire, like a studio assistant, right? Like to help me like sanding things or whatever. But right now I do it by myself. I do my website by myself. I saw that I looked at your website. It looks so good.
Thank you. I'm shook by
I'm obsessed. I've been thinking about hiring someone because it's like, I can make it look like whatever, but I want it to be like,
You should definitely look into the girl that did mine. I got so lucky, and that is like a thing about being at art school, is she needed a couple people for her portfolio because she was really trying to switch over to website design. And I think I just clicked on it at the right moment where I was like the first or second person to ask, and she was
That's amazing.
So I got really lucky, and she's incredible, and like the process was so easy, but it really does make you feel so put together to have like a put together website. But I'm really impressed that you've done that yourself, because your website feels very put together to me. And
I love Squarespace. Squarespace makes it pretty easy. But plug Squarespace, like
not sponsored.
Sponsor me. No, it really is great. But there's something about people who actually know how to do it that you can tell, like because they can really get in there. I'm just doing the basic, this is a box with text and these are the photos. But I have some friends too who are really great like graphic designers and can put together an awesome website. So I'm looking into that. I feel like I want to make more product first, because right now, like, I don't really have anything on there, but I've been working on some stuff. So once I get some more product, I would love to do that, because yours looks so profesh. I love it. I love the fun facts at the bottom.
Those are the things, but that's the thing about working with her, was she's also like a branding specialist. So those are the things that she really helped me with. It's just like a newsletter fun facts.
Right.
Like she gave me so many like fun little ideas for it that I would have never had.
Okay, I love newsletters. Like I get like Lord's newsletters, and I literally feel like I'm her friend. Like she's like, "Hey, lovely." Like I think that's
really
a great idea. Yes, yeah. And they have like little questions from fans and stuff. And like for Lord's, she like updates like pictures from her life, and she's like, "This is when I was blah blah." Blah. It almost sounds like a diary, but it's like it's a letter written to her fans. It's great.
I love that idea. I'm gonna take that idea and run with it.
You should. Yeah.
That she makes it like a journal entry. But okay, what I really wanted to ask, so I've purchased one of these myself. What inspired Garbage Studios? Because you were doing like, was it just so that people could have small pieces of your work? Or
yes, that's okay. Yeah, that's a great question. I think that because it sort of did come out of the time when I was not working, I had more time in studio. And for me, Zane and I moved apartments during COVID, like during like the first month of COVID. It was straight up, it was horrible. No, it was fine. It was like, it was down the street. So that's what made it easy. We were just walking one day and we saw like a for sale sign or for rent. And I was like, I want that place. And we made it happen. And so basically I had all that free time. So the first half of like the lockdown, I was like obsessed with decorating my apartment. Like I was online looking at these cool shops, like these amazing curated gifts and just like interior design. And so I think I noticed it too, just on Instagram. Like everyone who I followed was like obviously spending so much more time inside, that people were doing like little home projects and like, you know, like, oh, I never got around to like making my living room look cute. Like I should do that. And so I think that's where like the home objects came from. I was like, I want to like, because I was putting up like my friend's art that I never had set out before. And I was like, I love having little bits of my friends all around my apartment. It reminds me of them when I look at their art. And so I was like, I want to do some little objects that people can place on, you know, their desk, or that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
That's super cute. I love the pieces you do too. Like,
thank you.
How did you come up with those pieces? And like, they're so solid. Like, how do you make
them? They are solid.
Like concrete molds or something?
Yeah. They're pretty much like a mix of concrete. Like it's sort of like a resin actually, but it's more concrete based because it's like non-toxic. So that's why you call it like an eco resin or eco concrete. But it's this material that I love, and I can only get it like overseas. So it's like really expensive to ship over. It's like, I get it from like the UK because they don't have a distributor in the US right now, but it's really, the material is great for making terrazzo, which is like the little chips of color. So basically I can put all of these like chips of color that is the same material. And then I take it out of the mold. I make my own molds, like silicone molds, basically.
Okay.
And then I sand it down a lots of sanding. And that's how it reveals like the colors underneath the chips of like bright pigment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I make silicone molds out of objects that I find at the thrift store, which is another passion of mine, thrifting. I love thrifting. When I am feeling down, I go to the thrift store and I just walk around and I feel better. Like I love thrifting. Even if it's not for clothes, I love looking at like objects. And so that's how I've found like all of my shapes. I find an object that I really like and I basically like steal it. I make a mold of it and
you just go boop, and then
I'm just like, take that shape. Yep, this is mine now. I mean, it looks nothing like what the thing was originally. A lot of them are like glass pieces. I think like the one that you have is a glass. It was originally like a glass candle holder.
Okay.
And so then I just made my own mold of it. And
awesome.
now it's sturdy. It's not glass anymore.
It's so sturdy. Like when I picked that up, I was like, oh my God, this thing's so cool. Yeah. And then you had so many cute little touches with like the Matchbox that had your little like flower logo on it and stuff. Yes. So cute. Like
that's something that I would like to get better at too. Like you were saying about like branding, you know, it's like something I've thought a lot about, but with the budget, you got to like do what you can with it. Like there's a lot of ideas I had that I'm like, okay, well, maybe down the line, but right now it's going to be a white matchbox with a sticker on it.
Well, it's
But
super
eventually,
cute.
thank you. Yeah, thanks.
It's still
Yeah.
really cute. So yeah, so down the line, where do you see your art growing? Like all of it? Because I know you have
Yeah.
so many different things.
Yeah. Whenever I like get that question, it's kind of hard to answer, but because I don't know what that reality is going to look like, but I know that I want it to what I want it to feel like, and I want it to feel like I am, like, what is the word? Basically like self-sufficient, like you were saying, like off of just my art alone. Like I want to be my own boss, and I want to make art all day long. And I want people
White
to buy it with white cloths. Yeah. I want to sit in my studio and with my white claw and dance. And yeah, I basically, I want it to look like, I have control over what I'm making. And I don't know, because I have a lot of different, like sometimes I think maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to do like, I'm also interested in like kind of like art directing a little bit, like almost like a set design or something. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but
you just want
but
to
I
be
think
self-sufficient and get to do it every day.
I want to be able to do it. Yes. Like even if I'm working a job for somebody else, I want to still be able to do my own art.
Right.
And I want to show it more. I want to like show it at shows, at gallery shows more. I want to get it out of my studio more, because right now a lot of it just like lives in my studio, and I would like, and whether that be like in someone's home, that's great, or in a gallery, that would be awesome too. So yeah.
Your studio must look so cool. It's like messy, but then there's stuff everywhere.
It's
like...
very messy. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, what about you? Where do you see yourself?
Well, I have a lot of goals. I want to be a full-time musician, obviously.
Yeah.
And a big part of that for me is really starting to get comfortable sharing my music. As we know,
Yes,
I'm not great at that yet, but I'm getting there. And sharing, like, it's kind of crazy. Like I have this, it's crazy. Like I hear myself sing and I genuinely don't think it sounds good. But then when I play it for other people, they're like, holy shit. And I'm like,
yeah,
wow, that's so scary that I genuinely can't hear when I sound good. So I'm really going to start pushing myself to be posting more videos of me singing and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good idea.
It's a missing piece on my content for sure. And so I'm literally going to an open mic tonight. Like I'm really starting to push myself. I had an American Idol audition yesterday.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. What?
Yeah.
An American Idol audition? They had it here in Kansas City?
Well, okay, so I'm signed with Voices and Modeling, and ever since I've come back, they've actually been sending me a lot of stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I moved away a year after I signed, and then, you know, like my agent couldn't really get me a lot of jobs in Chicago, so I didn't really get to do a lot for a long time. And now that I'm back here, I've been doing a lot. And a part of that is the talent side. So I've been doing voiceovers, and then they sent me a front of line audition for American Idol, and everything's over Zoom right now.
Oh,
So,
really?
So it's kind of nice because they go to talent agents and stuff. I go to talent agents and stuff, and they go to talent agents, and they're like, hey, do you have anyone talented? Because obviously they want to get some people that really can sing and stuff. So it was really cool. It was like,
so I feel like that's like nerve-wracking that it's over Zoom. It's like,
yes, it was weirdly comfortable, but weirdly not comfortable.
I mean, you get to be in your own space, but like,
and I have a stage down here, which is kind of funny because my stepdad like wants to do stand-up comedy, so he built a whole stage in our basement.
Oh my God. Some open mic nights in your basement.
I could. There's like 3 big tables that I've made one big table, but I can like spread them out and do like a
that is awesome.
And I might
love that. So okay, invite me if you do that.
I'll let you know. But yeah, so luckily I'm an audio engineer, so I know a little bit more about getting the sound. Like I have a nice microphone. I have these things that can make it sound a little bit better. And they had me do 3 songs, which was really cool. Like I did one, they're like, okay, like what else can you sing? And I'd sing another, and they're like, okay, what other genres do you like? And then I pulled out like Fleetwood Mac, and
Fun.
you know what I mean? So
wait, what are the other 2 songs that you did?
I did Holy by Justin Bieber, which
Okay.
I would have never thought about that song. And then someone at my job was like, you need to try this. I feel like it would go really well. It's funny, like some of the people at Summit Girl have been like really into my American Idol audition and were helping me a lot. Like one of the girls played piano for me, and then the guy that told me to do that song watches like every season of The Voice and American Idol.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you need to do this song. The song's perfect.
Yes, like, that's helpful for someone who watches it, because I don't watch it very often. So it's like,
and also when I have to do an audition, my brain just goes, and I'm like, I don't know any songs. And I know,
like I've never heard a song in my life. I don't know any.
So I was like lost. I was like, I really don't know what to do. And so that helped me a lot. And I sang the song, and I was like, whoa, this weirdly really works for my voice.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
I did Stay by Rihanna, because that's always going to be one of my favorites.
Love that song.
And then I pulled out some Fleetwood Mac, which I think helped a lot, because that was
that's a good
left field from the other 2.
Good mix. So,
we'll see. They're like, we'll get back to you this week and let you know, because they have so many auditions. But
oh my gosh, that's so amazing.
Yeah. So basically what I'm doing is just trying to get comfortable with auditioning, with playing out more. My like a really big goal of mine soon is to find people to play with in KC and actually start playing.
Yeah.
And it's a little tricky for me because my tracks are really big and kind of pop-esque or whatever-esque.
Right.
You can't just have a drummer, a guitarist, and a bassist. Like you need you need
there's
like,
a little bit more.
A little bit of like a DJ on stage.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's available here though. Like you could find like spaces that are doing that for sure. And I'll send over some, like, I think some people that I sort of know that put on, events that I think would be, it's not just like guitar. It's like,
that would be super helpful, because I that is one thing here I feel really lost on, is like contacts for music and for venues and for players. Like I just need players first, and I'm having a hard time finding that. So those are I think that's immediate goals.
Yeah, and that's really exciting. And I think like the initial thing you said about the hesitancy to like put things out there, I think it's like the more you do it, the more you're going to be comfortable with it, and it'll just go from there.
I think it'll make a big difference in having a body of work that people can actually listen to. Like sometimes it's like I shoot myself down and I haven't even done the work. Like I haven't even put the work out yet, which is so funny. Yeah. So I'm just, I came up with like, if I make it, it's coming out. Point blank period. I'm not sitting on it for an indefinite time. Like if I make it, it's coming out like the next month. I'm so tired of sitting on things. So
no, that's so exciting. That's great.
Yeah, I feel like I'm excited.
Have you ever done a music video before?
Yes, I've done.
You have one out, right? Is it?
I have one out, and I have one that I actually filmed in March, and and that's going to be a part of the new EP. So it won't come out on Friday, but it's a song on the new EP. And sadly, my video editor discovered he had colon cancer. So it's been a really.
That's my dad had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hate that.
He got really lucky because he had this like. Weird intuition, and he was like 5 years too young to get his like routine
his colonoscopy. Yes.
And he went in, he's like, I don't care, do it. I don't care if I'm crazy. And they were like,
you have to do that.
Very early stages of colon cancer, so he got really lucky.
That's good. Early detection is key for sure.
So but it obviously he's had to get 2 surgeries, and he's just now feeling like ready to finish the video. But it worked because I have all this other stuff coming out anyways. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it did something weird, but it's good now. Yeah.
Okay. It worked out because I'm not even putting out the song until like November. So I will have another music video that's been filmed. I'm really excited for this one.
Yes.
I put like more of my own creative direction into it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm just asking because I love music videos, like one of my favorite things. And I feel like you can really like kind of feel what the artist is about, especially when you have say in it. Like
when you have a say in it, it makes a really big difference. I filmed a music video a few years ago that never even came out because it was a really bad experience. And I felt like I had no creative control over something I was paying for. And I was like, I put like $3,500 into it, and I never put it out because I was like, fuck this guy, you know? So
no, for sure. You do.
Yeah. And then I'll have another duo music video coming out with that EP that's going to be a little more chill, but it's going to be 2 of my songs together.
Awesome.
It'll
Yeah.
run into the next one. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I can't wait for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. I always like to do a segment of like when art meets art. And I feel like for you, it's really fitting to do fine art or like abstract art and interior design. Those 2 worlds.
Yeah.
And how you think they go together.
Yeah.
You've kind of already explained this, but
Yeah. Let's see. I really just think that I think of like my apartment as straight up a blank canvas. Like when you walk in, there's so much you can do with it. And I think for me, something I guess that I would say is the main thing is like layering, which is something I think of in my work, layering different patterns and colors and textures is like something that I do a lot in my apartment. I feel like, whether it be like literally the rug with a cute throw pillow and a blanket, like, I think I just think of it like that. Like, and then also just making sure that there's a lot of like local art. That doesn't really have to do with like abstraction or anything, but I think that's
interior design. Yeah.
Yes. Within interior design, I think that is the key in my apartment, is having lots of art by other people. And also something else is like my partner and I designed he's the designer part, designed these like cute cabinets. And we did it in our studio together and then I painted it. So that was like a really fun, like straight from the studio to like our living space. And I feel like it's something that I look at all the time. I'm like, well, we did that. That is our work. Like, so I think that's kind of art moving into interior design. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw that on your Instagram and it was like white and bright yellow. Was that it?
Yeah. It's a bright orange. It's like light blue and bright orange. Yeah.
That's so cool.
He was like, I really wanted these to be white. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work for me. So
color.
and then we're like looking at the paint swatches and he's like, don't do it. I'm like, neon orange. Let's go.
I'm wearing neon orange right
now. I love it.
Colors. I think it's so fun. And I think if you move into creative direction, you could do some really cool stuff with like music.
Yeah.
Because really make the colors pop, which is really fun.
I do love a bright color. Yes.
It just brings it to life.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, what do you want people to look out for? What do you want people to go check out from you?
You can check out my Instagram, garbage.human. I'm trying to post more art. I kind of fell off and was like, and Instagram is hard. Sometimes it's like you'll post something and get no likes and you'll be like, oh no, it's not. Yeah, seriously. And then it's like, people just want to see faces on Instagram and that's fine. I post that too. So, and then my website, because I will be putting some new things out, not very soon, but in the future, I'm going to be putting out some more home-ware objects. I'm working on some mirrors, which I think is really fun.
Stop.
I think I'm obsessed with mirrors right now. Like funky mirrors.
Yes,
yeah.
Like the fun shapes and stuff.
Fun shapes. Right now I have some small ones, but I really am looking forward to like some larger ones that could be more of like a statement piece, like I think that's it. That's
cool. And
that's what I'm doing.
You still have some like candle holders, incense holders.
I do have some. There's a few on the website. Thankfully, and I'm really happy about this, but a lot have sold out, which is great. There's a few on there. I have a few things still at Fetch in the West Bottoms.
Yes.
They sell my things there. I think there should still be some things there. But yeah. Cool. There is some stuff on the website.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you.
As always, thanks for listening to Matcha with Murad. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, review, or share this with your friends. Again, thanks for listening and talk to you guys next week.